Blog Talk Radio.
Tyson Dean here, kicking it in the WSE lounge with Jason and Brian here, and all the latest on wrestling and soap and all your entertainment news. Hello, this is Bill Bobby. Live on the Wolf with Midnight Express. You listen to me on Brian and Jason's WSE lounge. Yes, sir. Hey guys, I'm Robert Palmer Watkins. I play Dylan Quartermain on General Hospital, and you are listening to the WSE lounge.
Hey y'all, we're Donnie Dixie and you're listening to the WSE Lounge.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Brian. Jason, go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope everybody is doing well today. We have some sad news out of the wrestling world. Iron Mike Sharp passed away late last night, and right now we will be celebrating the life of Michael Sharp, known to wrestling fans as Iron Mike Sharp. He was billed as Canada's greatest athlete. He was born on October 18, 1951 in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. 282 pounds. He began his wrestling career in 1977, capturing numerous titles including NWA Mid-American Championship, NWA International Tag Team Championship, Canada's version, and Two Heart Stampede Wrestling. He is most noted for his time in the World Wrestling Federation, now known as World Wrestling Entertainment. From 1983 to 1995, he was used as an enhancement talent for Vince McMahon's WWF. Mike Sharp was born October 18, 1951. He passed January 17, 2016. Rest in peace, Iron Mike Sharp, and God rest your soul.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, rest in peace to Iron Mike Sharp, great athlete. My co-host just said. Me and Jason would like to apologize to the fans and to our guest today for calling in late. That's the first time we've ever done that, but we do want to apologize to the fans and our guests. But without any further ado, we want to bring on former WWE, ECW, WWE, and TNA wrestling superstar Trevor Murdoch. Welcome to the show. And I know usually that my co-host Jason does that, but I went ahead and did that today. I forgot Jason, but we're going to go ahead and bring on Trevor Murdoch. Hey, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Just trying to stay warm in this cold weather.
Oh yeah, it's cold down here too in Georgia. It's been real cold. They're talking about possibly having mixed precipitation on Friday going into Saturday, so we'll have to see. But yeah, it's been real cold. Thank you for being on the show today. Great to have you on, sir.
I appreciate you having me.
You're very welcome. What made you decide that you wanted to be a professional wrestler?
I was always a big fan on, the theatrics and the athleticism of it. I grew up watching world-class wrestling and watching the Von Erichs, and you could see them guys how they would be able to bring the crowd up and bring them down and be able to control them and have that emotional connection with them. It's something when I watched it as a kid, I always wanted to be a part of.
That is so cool. And I know when I first saw you on the WWE, it was known as WWF at the time, but when I first saw you on there, a lot of people said that you resembled the late Dick Murdoch. Is that where you got your name from, Trevor Murdoch, or I mean, how did you go about getting that?
Kind of based off. Everything's based off of that. Yeah, I was a fan of Dickie, and I work similar to him in the old school style, so it just seemed like a perfect pairing.
Awesome.
Yeah, the old school style, I'm a big fan of it. When I first seen you, Trevor, you did remind me a lot of Dick Murdoch. Now, how did the name originally come about? Was it your preference? Was it creative preference? How did that all come about?
Well, I was doing a Trevor Rhodes there in the beginning of my career, and when I got my opportunity with WWE, Dusty had a little heat, I guess, with Vince at the time, and I had gotten close with Ricky Steamboat on the independents and Harley bringing him in, and Ricky pulled me off to the side, and he goes, maybe Rhodes probably isn't the best last name to have right now. To me, to be honest with you, you look more like Dickie, Dickie Murdoch than anything. And I said, well, hell, I have no problem with that. I said, Inns can put me in pink underwear and a tutu. I'll go, as long as you give me a contract. I don't care what you call me. And that was, to be able to represent Dickie Murdoch on a national level, number one, no one else has really done that. Number two, to have that honor and to try to carry on a little bit of his style and his era was a huge honor for me.
I can imagine that. Dick Murdoch, definitely a wrestling legend, and of course, tag team partner with Dusty Rhodes and the Texas Outlaws back in the early 80s. Speaking of tag team, Trevor Murdoch fans is former three-time WWE World Tag Team Champion with the late Lance Cage. And, some of the teams you beat, the Hardy Boys at the top of the list, of course. You originally beat the Hurricane and Rosie for the tag title. Let's hear about some of how things went during your title reign.
What was the end of that last question? I could hardly hear it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let us know a little bit about your title reign and your favorite teams to work with.
Oh, okay. When I first came into the WWE, everything was pretty quick. I had just gotten back from spending 6 months in the Noah Dojo over in Japan. And when I got back home, I was in unbelievable shape. I was in the best shape of my life. And Harley had gotten me an opportunity to try out with WWE. And I had been up to WWE doing different tryouts and different matches, probably, 8 or 9 different times before that. And they really had paid no attention to me. So I was just glad I was going to get paid as a local, which was $250 at the time, eat some badass catering and hang out with some of the stars in the back, and just be a fan. So when I got there and I got my opportunity to work the dark match and I caught the attention of the right people, it was literally within 4 weeks, I'm challenging for the WWE tag titles. And it wasn't but a couple weeks after that I was WWE Tag Team Champion. So it was, it was all pretty, exciting, and everything happened really fast. And, when you're the champ, you've got to do the interviews and do the press release, or, the promo pack, promo stuff. And you're constantly on the phone doing interviews. And it's a responsibility. But it was something I was really proud of, and something I was really ready for. I've been, wrestling in the business almost 8 years before that, 7 years before I got my shot with the WWE. And I was prepared. I wrestled with WWE or with TNA and did their first 8 pay-per-views, so I had the TV experience there. I'd spent quite a bit of time in Japan. I was ready. So to be, world tag champs on a company, on a television program that you were sitting at home watching just a few weeks before that, it was pretty badass. When it came to guys that we got to wrestle, the Hardys were definitely, one of the top tag teams that we got to work with. But we also got to work with guys like, Paul London and Brian Kendrick, phenomenal talent that didn't really get their just due and get the push they deserved. You talk about guys that could do anything in the ring, and, their psychology was to make sure that it was the best match, not so much get themselves over, but to have the best match and do whatever what was needed. So wrestling those guys was, that was up on the top of the list as well too.
Speaking of Japan, while you were over in Japan, did you ever get to work with Stan the Lariat Hansen?
No, he was already gone by the time I made it over there. I got to work with Vader and Too Cold Scorpio and spend time with guys like, those guys there. But no, Stan was already gone. Okay,
what was your toughest who was your toughest opponent in Japan?
Probably the toughest match I had was when I got an opportunity to wrestle for the GHC heavyweight title match. Segura was on, I think I was his 8th or 9th title defense, and he was on top of his game, and we went out there for 25 minutes and did everything we could to make sure that, I know I did everything I could to make sure I walked out there as a champion. Segura threw me around and hit me harder than any other man's ever hit me before. But I guarantee you, I did the same with him. It was one of my more brutal matches that I've had in my career.
Speaking of brutal, I have to ask you, what was it like for you working in your earlier career? What was it like for you working in ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling?
I never worked in ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling.
You didn't? Okay, because we looked up something about you were with the Dunlap brothers, but they must have put that wrong or something.
No,
okay.
I was a part of a tag team called the Dups, and they were a part of ECW, but they got transferred over when TNA first started. They only brought one half of the Dups to TNA, and they invited me to become another member of that tag team. That's where I got to be a part of TNA when they were still doing pay-per-views.
Okay, I do apologize for that misinformation.
That's all right.
What was it like for you working with Lance Cade?
When WWE was putting Lance and I together as a team, I mean, they were just looking for a tag team to put together and to make money on. But really, Lance and I became real close as friends and as brothers. We had similar backgrounds. We were both trained by guys, old school legends that had similar backgrounds. He was trained by Shawn Michaels. I was trained by Harley Race. Their eras kind of crossed paths back in the day, so there was some similar training there. We also, he had 2 kids, I had 2 kids. We were both country, and we both loved wrestling and storytelling in the ring. So when we got together, it really fit together. We were probably one of the last real old school tag teams, and what I mean by that is when I would fly into a town and I would get there first, I would wait at the airport for Lance when he would fly in, and we would get in a rental car and ride together. If he got there first, he was waiting for me, and we would get in a rental car and ride together. We shared hotel rooms, we shared rental cars. When you seen one, you seen the other. There was no separation. Literally, him and I didn't split up, split ways until it was time for us to get on a plane and go back to our prospective homes. We were best friends, and we were also colleagues that went out there to try to have the best match of the night and to try to make as much money as possible.
That's wonderful. I know that Lance Cade was a phenomenal athlete, and I think he died too young. He was a great athlete, and I always enjoyed watching you and him on WWE as a tag team, and y'all did phenomenal, and I enjoyed y'all's tag team title reigns, that y'all had in WWE as well, and I think that the cowboy gimmick y'all had was very, very cutting edge, and it was very good, because before y'all you had the Smoking Guns, and you had the young Pistols, so it was awesome to see y'all as a tag team, and it's also great to hear your story of how close of friends y'all became.
Thank you. We were probably my best tag team I was ever a part of, and we definitely had a hell of a run.
You're welcome.
Talk about tag team wrestling, and you were talking about how you and Lance would always be together, which is really a throwback to the old days. And now tag team wrestling is kind of out of the picture, so to speak. And do you have any idea of how to bring back the old school tag team? Because there's a few pay-per-views out there I can think of, Wrestle War 90 and Capital Combat 90, where all the matches on there were tag team matches, and you would have one single match, and that would be for the world title. So, any advice or anything about how tag team wrestling can bring back its prominence?
It'll never get back to the way it was. I mean, it's the psychology and the thinking and the person that's got the pen in the back that's writing the book. It'll never get back to the way it was. But the good thing is we've got things like NXT, ROH, New Japan Wrestling that still remember and focus on tag team wrestling and put a huge focus on it, actually, and know that there's merit in having tag team matches on your show. At one point back in the day, tag team matches used to be the main event. The Hulk Hogan would go on right before intermission, and then at the end of the evening, you had the tag team matches that carried the main event and the show. They do that sporadically on Raw now, but they're usually not tag teams that are put together. They're just people that are thrown together and they have a tag team match. I think that if they, after a while, it's just like anything else, it'll come back full circle, and they'll let tag teams have their run, and then they'll fade it out again, and then they'll have the run. They just got to make sure that when they do have their tag team matches, that they are the best matches of the night, and they give the office no choice but to put them back on there.
Who was it that came up with the country music singing gimmick?
That was me. I knew that, just like every other tag team, they were going to start splitting Lance and I up. And I had actually decided that, if they're going to split Lance and I up, I need to kind of have a little niche, something to make me a little different. And I tracked down Vince, and I went into his office and leaned up against the door, and I told him, I said, Vince, my off time, every once in a while, I like to go out and have an alcoholic beverage and sing karaoke, and I don't know what you can do with it, but, maybe we can do something with it. And I stood there in Vince's office and sang him a song right there in his office, a cappella. And there was this long pause after I got done, and he said, "Oh, damn, Trevor, that was great. Let's put that on TV. Let's put that on TV next week. That's all, son of a bitch. Why did you tell me that sooner?" And next week, I'm standing on the announcing table, singing a song to my tag partner.
That is awesome. That's very awesome. And speaking of that, we're called the WSE Lounge, Trevor. So we stand for Wrestling, Soaps, and Entertainment. We interview, about everybody. So that's why we had that. But we have a commercial about every show. Hope you enjoyed that, Trevor.
I appreciate it. I did like it.
You're welcome, and thank you. How was it for you being in TNA as Jethro Holiday?
I had a lot of fun with it. There wasn't nearly as much pressure. They gave me good guys to work with. The only thing is, at that time there just seemed to be not enough. There was more chiefs than there were Indians, and it seemed a little bit unorganized. And it, I had a good time there. The locker room was awesome. The guys are fabulous, welcoming, and always wanted to put on a good show. And but just like anything else, it didn't last, and it was time for me to part ways and go do something else.
I think you did good in TNA. For the short time I saw you on there, I think you did really good. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, before Andrew Martin passed away at Test, I saw him show up, and he teamed up with I believe it was Sting and somebody else he teamed up with, and they wrestled at a pay-per-view, and then I never saw him again. And so I guess it was similar to that. I mean, there's been a lot of people I've seen, come through TNA, like Rikishi and some other guys, and you see them for a short time, and then they just disappear. And I guess it's just I guess you could say it's probably a way of creative differences or something.
Well, that, and it's they've got an idea of what they what direction they're going, and a lot of times they need to bring people in to kind of spice things up to make that creative direction work.
And it's not just like that at the show, being that I work in Indies myself. I've seen guys come in and out. It's just a part of the show. Guys are used in certain spots, and they move on to a different part of their career, which brings me full circle, Trevor, to 2011. You wrestled in a dark match on, I believe, a SmackDown taping, and there was something about a WWE contract coming in that never worked out. I'm just curious, may I ask, what happened?
I got the call. They were interested in bringing me back, and I flew down to Tennessee, and I ended up doing a match with Evan Bourne in a dark match, and everything was going well. I actually went ahead. They told me they were going to give me a deal back and probably work down in developmental. I actually was pretty excited about that, and the fact that I wanted to be more of a trainer than I did a wrestler. I like working with guys. I like training guys. I like seeing the light bulb click with people. So I was really super excited for that. I got a call from Hunter, and he said, yeah, we're going to go ahead and give you a deal and send you down in developmental, and we'll send you the contract. I got a call 2 weeks later, and they said that due to budget cuts that they were going to go ahead and renege on the deal. The only bad part about that, I was bummed that I didn't get to go down and work with some of the young guys and stuff like that, but I'd actually closed down my business, my bar, so I could do that. And then the deal, kind of fell through. So that kind of put me in a little bit of a predicament when it came to my, home life. But just like anything else, you roll with the punches, and you take what the good Lord gives you, and you make the best of it.
Right. That's pro wrestling for you. And, me personally, Trevor, because you are a throwback, Fest, if some of the fans know what I'm talking about. I know you do, Trevor. And you see that a lot these days.
Well, the thing is, I mean, there's a place for it. I just don't think there needs to be a whole show of it. And I think that if guys would just incorporate some more wrestling into it, it would work out just fine. There's a huge lack of psychology in the ring, and that's what, when we talk about our business and putting butts in seats, that's a big problem. People don't believe and don't get excited about what's going on in the ring, they're not going to come. It's very simple. So you almost, you got to find out what works for you and what works in the area that you're in, and make that happen.
So you basically have to tell a story. You basically have to be able to tell the story in the ring as the students or the teacher and the student, and to get the fans' attention to keep them in the seats.
Pretty much, yeah.
Now, when you were at Harley Race's Wrestling Academy, you worked with Harley personally, right?
Yeah, I worked with him directly.
Awesome. So I know he instilled a lot of the psychology in you. He was at once known as the toughest man in wrestling. Is there anything else that he instilled in you that you took into the business?
Well, I mean, one of the key things is just to be a man of your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If a man can't trust you with what you say, then what else can he truly trust you with? The one thing that, I know from what I've seen just personally, when Harley said he was going to do something, he did it. And people respected him for that behavior and how he carried himself. So that's something that I certainly carry with myself and try to teach other people. And when I got to work with Harley, he was still dropping knees and suplexing people. I got to work with Harley firsthand, take the punches, get in the ring. He wasn't locking up and running, matches and spots with me. He couldn't do that. But, I worked with Harley, firsthand, sat down, had hours and hours and hours of conversations. Sat in his home and looked out at the lake and talked about match per match and match. I sucked up everything I could of knowledge from that man because I knew that he was the best and I wanted to be the best.
Definitely learned from one of the greatest, very fortunate as well to listen to some of Harley's stories. But Harley turned out a very great wrestler, may I say, and you, Trevor. Like I say, I enjoy your matches. Always have. And also, you guys, it's funny to say, with Les Cage being trained by Shawn Michaels, you guys had a feud with DX, and a lot of people say Triple H has a lot of Harley in him. Can you elaborate on the feud with DX?
That was actually kind of a little bit of a dream come true for us because, you're right. There's a lot of things that Triple H does that mimics Harley when it comes to his moveset in the ring and how he carries himself. And Triple H has said that in numerous interviews. So to be standing in the ring in front of 18,000 people in the arena and 3.5 million, sitting at home watching, to be standing across the ring from guys like Triple H and Shawn Michaels, who was, like you said, Shawn's, trainer and mentor, it's one of those ultimate moments. You know what I mean? It's redemption. It's a moment where you go, wow, all my hard work was, it was worth this one moment. It was awesome to stand across the ring from a guy you knew he was eventually going to take control of the company and look at him and tell him, I'm the heel here. I'll tell you what to do in this match. And him listen to me. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, the respect that I got from him and from Sean. And, you know, when we got in the ring with those guys, they let us do what we wanted. They let us, you know, grow in that match and take the lead and learn. And you're talking about two guys that have done everything in the business, and they were welcome to sit back and go, okay, and listen. So, yeah, it was awesome.
Something that I wanted to ask you, Trevor, and I have to ask you this because, you know, I know there's going to be probably tons more people to ask you this, but is there a chance of Trevor Murdoch being a surprise entrant this coming Sunday, 2016 WWE Royal Rumble match for the WWE World title?
You can never say never. That's all I can say. You never can say never. That's the best I can give you there, big guy.
Okay, thank you.
Pro wrestling, Brian. He is correct. And Trevor,
You got another question, Jason?
you were training with Harley. Did you more psychology? Did you have you bump a lot?
You know, my first 3 months at the Harley Race Wrestling Academy, I puked every day. It was, you know, it's important for you to be in shape when you step in the ring. If you can't breathe in that ring, you can't wrestle. You can't think. You can't do anything. So in the beginning, yeah, there were a lot of calisthenics. There was a lot of exercising. But then just like anything else, your body gets in shape, and as the trainer, he sees that, he can start progressing more into the storytelling, into the ring, and what kind of, you know, stories you can tell. I was lucky in the fact that Harley not only ran a school, but he was running a wrestling show too. You know, our first year, we ran 73, 78 shows that year. And for an independent company to run 73 to 78 shows a year, that's amazing. And
wow.
What we got to do was we got to go out there and not only train at the school, but then we were going out 2 and 3 nights every week on the weekends, wrestling in front of the people and trying out this stuff and getting better in front of the people. And Harley, you know, going back after the show and going, Harley, what'd you think? Well, you need to work on this. You need to work on that. And getting firsthand advice right there, you know, and taking all that training and using it in front of people.
Yeah, I know that I've trained with, they look for a lot of heart. As you mentioned, you puked every day. As long as you get back up and want more, they're a little more lenient with you. Would you agree?
No, of course. Of course, you know, I mean, this is a tough business. And, you know, you get knocked down and you can't man up and get back up, and you're going to whine up. And, you know, if you do get back up, you're whining about it. I mean, maybe this just isn't the business for you, you know? I mean, I can't, every single match I have, I walk out with bumps and bruises that I didn't even know how I got. But it doesn't deter me from getting back in that ring and making sure I try to give 100% every time I step into it.
I see we've got about 3 minutes left on the show. I wanted to ask you, Trevor, if you don't mind, if you would like to just do a promo for us, just saying this is Trevor Murdoch and you're listening to the WSE Lounge.
The WSC Lounge?
The WSE Lounge.
The WSE Lounge.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, you ready?
Yes.
All right, guys, this is Trevor Murdoch, 3-time WWE Tag Team Champion, and you're listening to the WSE Lounge.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to ask you before you go, do you have any upcoming appearances, autograph signings, or anything you'd like to promote to the fans or let the fans know about?
Well, we are opening up, me and partnering up with a good close wrestling buddy of mine, Derek McQuinn. We are opening up the Kansas City Pro Wrestling Training Center in Kansas City, Missouri. We are opening up February 8th. I want to make sure that everybody goes on Facebook and checks out the KC Pro Wrestling Wrestling Training Center, training facility on Facebook. Make sure you guys give it a like. Also, you guys get time, go by and check out Trevor Murdoch on Facebook, and I'm also on Twitter at real2murdoch.com.
Okay, and we'll definitely promote that and check that out. And thank you so much for doing a promo for us, and thank you so much for being on the show today. We had a great time, and we hope that you did too. And we wish you the best and all you do, sir.
I appreciate it, boys. Thanks for having me on, guys.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. You bet.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was former WWE TNA superstar Trevor Murdoch. And tomorrow on the show, we're going to have Mike Mooneyham. Mike is I want to make sure I tell the fans correctly on this, because there's a lot of material to tell you about here on what exactly Mike is, because Mike is well known to the fans of wrestling, of football. Mike is he is the assistant sports editor, writer, columnist at the Post and Quiller, Charleston, South Carolina newspaper. He's going to be on here tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you got any questions, call in at 773-897-6289 and press 1. And we'll be happy to get you on to talk to Mike. We are looking very forward to that tomorrow. We had a great time today with Trevor Murdoch. And once again, me and Jason apologize to the fans for calling in late, but we got tied up talking, and we realized before we knew that the show was fixing to come on. But we want to thank everybody for joining the show today, and we're going to let Amanda Joe close us out.
This is country music singer Amanda Joe, and you are listening to the WSE Lounge.